All right. Hello, friends from around the state. Come on in. Welcome, welcome. As folks stream in, just want to say I hope your summer is rounding out nicely. I'm here in Sacramento today, broadcasting live from the Sacramento Valley Catalyst convening, and apparently it's back to school day today here. So hope your summer has gone well. All right. Join us, guys. Make yourself at home. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please do so over chat. We'd love to know who's here. So I'm Angie Hacker. I'm the Statewide Best Practices Coordinator for the California Climate and Energy Collaborative, here with the 55th LERN, Local Energy Resources Network, and joined today by Kelsey from the SEEK team. So we'd love to hear from you. If you can introduce yourself over chat. And yeah, I'm very fortunate today to be spending a bunch of time with lots of local and state leaders here in the Sacramento area. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're in for today. You can go to the next slide. So as always, these meetings are designed to help you access opportunities that can help you advance your local energy and climate goals. As I always do, I'm going to run through a few timely opportunities and spotlight one of those today with our friends from Prospect SV, talking about some learning sessions on emerging building technologies. And then we have a couple of featured speakers today. So we know a lot of you actually took advantage of the opportunity to go to the summer study of the ACEEE conference this year. And we have a couple of folks with us today that are going to help us give us some takeaways from that conference. I know I couldn't go, and I'm dying to hear how it went. Spend a few minutes there, and if you're somebody in the crowd who has more insights to share from that conference, be ready because there's an opportunity to share. And then another featured speaker today is going to be our friends from Empower Procurement. We'll have Emily from UC Davis, who's going to talk a little bit about their project, their product evaluation hub. So that's what's up for today. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so this is our regular messy hyperlink cheat sheet this month, where we are trying to elevate for you some of the important and timely opportunities that can help you advance your work. If we don't capture everything, if you know something we don't know, we always ask you to add to the chat some other opportunities that folks like you working on the ground would like to know about. On the policy front, I'll tell you, I'm trying to get the scoop here while I'm with so many state agency folks today here in Sacramento. I'm hoping that by next month we'll know a little bit more about policy, what's going on in the legislative cycle, what's going to end up getting passed, and more about the budget. I know everybody's kind of waiting to see what will happen, including with things like the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund and various affordability related measures. So here we're going to walk through a few funding opportunities. Blue are the things that you're going to hear about a little bit later in the program. Yellow are just a few highlighted opportunities that we haven't yet talked about. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes there. And then I think you all know, like a lot of folks probably in this call are spending time on extreme heat, the Transformative Climate Communities and Community Resilience Center grant programs that are out right now. So those ones are major opportunities. Hopefully you're already working on those if those are of interest to you. We've talked about them in the past. But I do want to highlight a couple of things that we haven't talked about. Actually, one in red up at the top, I wanted you to know if you're working on this California Energy Commission Electric Vehicle Hub Outreach Messaging and Equipment, it's called EV Home Grants. That one got an extension, which I know can be good news, until August 25th. So that gave you, I think, another week or two. And then there's this other one from the California Energy Commission, which honestly is kind of interesting. Not maybe your average grant. It's called Charger Service Skills Accelerator. You have until October 30th. There's actually a workshop happening on August 19th. There's up to $6 million in grants available from the CEC here for projects that will increase the qualified workforce needed to service electric vehicle charging equipment. So there's a minimum of $500,000 and a maximum of $2 million for these grants, and all California public entities, private entities, CBOs, nonprofits, NGOs, even universities are eligible to apply. Workforce development boards, tribes. So lots of folks are eligible, and eligible projects must provide training collaboration with worker, employer, educational provider partners, and provide a clear path from training to quality jobs. So for those of you doing both workforce development, and I know a lot of you are in the EE space, if you're thinking of translating also to EV, or you have some EV efforts that you're looking to build a workforce for, take a look. This one has a little bit of a longer trajectory. Another one here I wanted to mention from CAL FIRE. So the fiscal year 2026-27 Forest Health Research CCI, that's California Climate Investment Grants. You have until November 18th on this one. There's up to $4.5 million available total. It's for public and private entities. And the intent of this one is to fund scientific research that expands our knowledge in topics related to forest health and wildland fire. And so there's grants really here between about $400,000 and $900,000 on 4 different topic areas, including wildfire and forest research, demonstration state forest research, science synthesis and tool development, and special topics research. So this one certainly is a little bit more on the resilience side, but it is something for folks that if you have in your climate action plan goals to reduce wildfire related emissions, this is something for you, potentially, if you're interested in working with some research. A couple of the blue items here. So Empower Procurement, you're going to hear about that product evaluation hub here in just a moment. I do want to flag the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation has their Climate Ready cohort you might have heard about. They're seeking applications for this 10-month program by August 19th. They are looking to have 15 participating organizations step by step, supporting them step by step through the process of creating a climate vulnerability assessment for their community using their community vulnerable communities platform. So there's also some compensation, a little bit of compensation here for participants. Last little note here is you had heard us talk a little bit about the Cal EPA SB 54 Plastics Pollution Mitigation Fund that I'm very excited about. I have submitted comments in other venues. There's been a variety of surveys and workshop opportunities, and they have extended the opportunity to provide input on the development of this really important $5 billion over 10-year program until September 30th. So you have longer if you haven't yet submitted a comment to help design this program, but I will tell you what I think insider baseball is sooner the better, because they have to submit certain things for their budget processes. So they are actively shaping this program now. Okay, that was generally the fire hose. Of course, the Catalyst convenings like today here in Sacramento are continuing. And we have 3 more Catalyst convenings coming up. So if you are in the Sierra Nevada region, North Coast region, or inland deserts, those are coming soon. And there is registration out now for Sierra Nevada and North Coast, which are happening August 25th and September 15th. And actually, we know inland deserts is going to be October 6th. So we will, in the follow-up to this, you'll get all these materials and you'll also get access to all the links so that you can sign up and come join us for these important sort of input to the state events. Okay. With that, I do want to mention, because I'm here in Sacramento, I just want to like shout out the few organizations that are at the resource roundtable here today that are in the Sacramento Valley region, just because they bothered to come and they're going to talk directly to their own region. So 350 Sacramento, the Central California Asthma Collaborative, La Familia Counseling Center, UC Davis, Universal Cafe, and Valley Eat Compromise. So those are the folks that are here helping and assisting their communities. And that's the kind of thing we do when we go around the regions, is collect assistance providers and help elevate them up. Okay, so let's go to our next slide, please. So I'm really pleased to invite up our first speaker in our spotlight. So I'm going to hand off to Adam Ju. He's project manager with Prospect SV, and they have an opportunity. They're trying to solicit your input on a set of learning sessions they're doing on emerging building technologies, including heat pumps. Okay, I'm going to hand off to you, Adam. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Angie. Good morning, everybody. My name is Adam G. I'm a project manager at Prospect SV. And before I dive in, we're an organization that works to get emerging building technologies like natural refrigerant heat pumps, smart panels, and plug-in batteries into real world use by building the resources, teams, and connections that decarbonization efforts and electrification efforts need to scale. So we lead demonstrations of innovative technologies, provide technical assistance to municipalities seeking to electrify their portfolio, and then develop resources to further scale such solutions, which leads me to the initiative we are kickstarting right now. So, under a grant funded by the California Energy Commission, Prospectus Fee, we're developing a series of learning sessions on emerging technologies. Targeting our target audience would be local governments, contractors, and authorities having jurisdictions, AHJs. So, like permitting officials, building officials, fire marshals. And why I'm here today specifically is to tell you that our topic for this fall and winter specifically is on natural refrigerant heat pumps for HVAC and domestic hot water use in commercial buildings. So, just a little background at large, the HVAC industry is undergoing a sort of a technology transition because synthetic refrigerants that are used to be typically used are getting more expensive. There's HFC phase down regulations, and California needs to hit its climate goals. So, and thus, natural refrigerants are on track to become the norm because of their low global warming potential. And like I said, those regulations phasing down those synthetic refrigerants. So I want to say we already run a contractor training series up in San Jose or down in San Jose, depending where you are. As a complement, we're launching this learning session here for those authorities having jurisdiction, so those AHJs. And we want to support those building officials so that by the time these emerging technologies show up in volume, AHJs will be aware and already know what to look for instead of learning it live, in front of a project team or mid-review. So just diving a bit more into what it actually is. So we're formatting this round of learning sessions to be particularly two sessions, about 60 minutes each. Session one starts by grounding the target audience in where things stand today. So why natural refrigerants are becoming the industry norm, why AHJs specifically need to get familiar with these systems right now so that they can be prepared. Then we'll talk through the code ecosystem. So where codes and standards are still evolving and what that means for their permitting process. And then close it off with where to go for support. Session two will build on that foundation with a real world commercial case study. So that gives the target audience a chance to apply what they learned to an actual project. So I'm bringing this to your attention today because we're looking for two kinds of help. First, input. So many of you may work closely with building officials in your communities, whether through permitting organizations, building electrification efforts, or other local initiatives. So before this content is finalized, we want people with that vantage point to look at what we've built and provide feedback and make sure it resonates within the community. So second, we're asking by hosting or promoting. So once the content is ready, we're looking for partners to help bring it to the people who need it, whether that's slotting it into a channel you already run, or sharing it with your network, or helping us connect it with the right audience. So by the end of these two sessions, participants should walk away understanding what's driving that shift to natural refrigerant heat pumps, the current approval pathways for those natural refrigerants, and how that landscape is shifting and where to go for code standards and technical support. So if either of those sound like something that you or your organization is interested in, I'd love to hear from you and have a conversation. You can, drop your name in the chat or reach out to me directly. My contact is at the bottom of the screen here. Also, just want to shout out, be sure to check out that QR code at the top right. It'll take you to our resources page for emerging technologies as well, including CO2 heat pumps. So this page is built for that full range of industry professionals to assess whether these technologies fit their project. So we want to reach that whole nexus of stakeholders, involved in a building project to get that 360 scope of support. And with this initiative I'm sharing today, permitting officials and building officials and will be part of that, are part of that picture as well. So that's it for me. Really appreciate you all for listening, and thanks for the SEEK team for providing me with the platform here today. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam. I'm really glad you had a chance to share all of that. And for folks, so what the ask is here is he's looking for some folks to give some input. And actually, Adam, you've got some good feedback and interest here in the chat. So Adam's going to stick around a little bit and answer some questions via chat. It sounds like there's some good ones. So thank you. And then more to come. When you have this available, we'd be very happy to make sure folks are aware.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Okay, let's go to our next topic. So, you all know these guys. This is going to be a little discussion we wanted to have. I kept seeing everybody talking about the ACEEE conference and some interesting sessions and concept papers that they got to review. And so I wanted to invite a couple folks I know went to ACEEE Summer Study to tell us a little bit about some of the most compelling concepts that they heard and just some takeaways. So I'm joined by Amaury Bertrand from AMBAG, the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments. He's the Director of Sustainable Programs, as well as Emily Alvarez, Program Manager with Stop Waste, both partners to some regional energy networks in the state here. And so thanks you guys both for joining us. Emily, I think you're on here, aren't you? You want to come say hello? Just
Yeah.
make sure you're...
Hello.
Ah, hi, good. I just want to make sure we can hear and see you. So I want to start with you, Emily, if you wouldn't mind, and for folks on the call, if you attended and you would like to share a couple of insights briefly, just raise your hand or drop them in the chat once we hear from our panel. So Emily, just tell us, you were there, share one or two of the most compelling concepts you learned at the ACEEE conference last week.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Alvarez. I'm a program manager with Stop Waste, which is the Alameda County representative for BayREN. It was my first summer study, so I will say that it was an overwhelming but really great experience. It is a packed conference. And we were fortunate enough to have a paper about our home energy score program that I presented Wednesday morning, and I'm happy to share with everyone who's interested in reading that. I think that I had so many good conversations about energy efficiency and electrification and what it all really means. People really trying to do this work on the ground, which is refreshing. There's also some academics and things like that, right? But they're really trying to, I think, solve a lot of really sticky issues. For me, one of the biggest takeaways and themes was I do feel like kind of a few years ago when we were really starting with the electrification movement, it was sort of like electrify everything right now, heat pumps everywhere, and we're still in that mood. We're still there, like, right? We still need to get all that stuff done. But I think the nuanced conversation that happened last week, that really brought more in the human element and less like the technology focus was really refreshing. So real conversations about how our programs can also measure non-energy benefits to the recipients, to the community at large. How are we talking about health improvements and really measuring it? How are we talking about bill savings or bill increases? And then what can we do about that? Talking a lot about energy burden and affordability. And so I just think that I find it a really rewarding conversation to talk less about everyone gets a heat pump and more like everyone gets a heat pump and this is really what it means for that person, or this is something we might want to watch out for. Because the reality is our homes and buildings are not just little greenhouse gas emission factories, like they're places people live and work. So I really enjoyed those kinds of conversations throughout the week.
Super interesting. I was hearing from folks that it really is clear that California is still a big leader here because this is a national energy efficiency conference. And did you feel that way? Did you feel that California is really still in the lead here? Or are you taking away any best practices from other states, including on heat pumps?
Yeah, definitely a lot of good California conversations for sure. I think I am really inspired on some of the measuring of non-energy benefits that other states are doing, and that's something we're talking about at the REN level and the Bay REN level. So those are some papers I'm definitely going to dig into, is how other programs and states have begun to quantify non-energy benefits. But yeah, I think in terms of kind of innovative programming and electrification incentive programs, I think California is still doing a lot of good. With very expensive electricity rates, though, I think that that's where we run into some more of the affordability just trickiness that maybe other states where electricity rates are a lot cheaper don't have those issues. So yeah, we still looking good out there, California, but like everyone, we have a lot of work to do. But I think, yeah, the biggest lessons learned from other states are probably related to the measuring of non-energy benefits.
That's so useful in terms of timing because we obviously have the California Energy Commission with its non-energy impacts proceeding happening and open comments. So, Emily, maybe we should talk offline about whether or not there's some insights to submit. Okay, well, thanks, Emily. I'm going to move over to Amaury. Amaury, you were there. I think you're a presenter also. Can you share one or two of the most compelling concepts you learned about?
Yeah, and I will echo, I think, what Emily said. It's so interesting. It's a over a week. There's about 400 papers that are presented, and so each attendee really only is able to go and hear about 30 or 40 or so papers. And then on top of that, there's a number of informal sessions where sort of folks talk about what they're seeing. Um, I think some of the most interesting things I saw was actually areas where I think California led the way, but then some other states took things on and sort of started working on things. And so, for example, around strategic energy management, which is a concept where it started off in the industrial sector and sort of folks engaged over about a pattern of 6 years where they have 2 year cycles where they, as a cohort with other participants, attend workshops, learn about their energy use, and then do what's called treasure hunts to find saving opportunities. And these can be
Hmm.
anything from behavioral measure to sort of integrated demand side management, so like solar, battery storage, demand response. Um, and then they essentially, if they make those improvements, get credited savings and get incentives. And what's really exciting is that in California since 2018, we had a fairly healthy industrial programming base, and they've expanded that programming base where now public agencies and small businesses can start participating. And that's something that happened in other states already. And so looking at the papers and the impact, I think there's some really interesting opportunities that we're going to see in the next few years for public agency and your public work staff to really participate in these programs and learn more about their facilities, help reduce energy use. I think another interesting concept that California is starting to explore is around building performance standards. And again, with these papers, there was a number of other states and municipalities in other states that have already implemented building performance standards. And so it was really interesting to hear folks talk about essentially how local jurisdictions have gone about implementing these programs, what energy efficiency programs can do to support. So some really interesting conversations about, again, where we might be headed as a state within the next 5 to 10 years. Um, and maybe a final one I'll give you. It was more of an informal session, but PG&E is running a zonal decarbonization pilot program. And so the implementer for that program was talking about their experiences. And it was really interesting to hear them really emphasize, and we all know this, I think Emily said it, like the importance of the human connection to get folks on board and really building trust. And so the way they're approaching it is by having a single point of contact for each of the communities they serve to really act as that trusted messenger and that trusted advisor. It was really also interesting hearing them talk about what they think the size of these efforts could be, and sort of they were sharing that they have one community where it's really one house at a time, not really a zone as much as one comprehensive project. One zone where they have 3 households, one where they have 6 households, and one where they have 15 households. And it was really interesting to hear them sort of stress how difficult it is to scale and how important it is to build trust. So I think overall, some really, really interesting conversations about where we are and where we're going.
Thank you, Amaury. I have complete FOMO. I wish I had been able to go, but I'm glad you guys are giving us a little taste of what we all missed if we couldn't be there. Can you talk a little bit, Amaury, for just another few seconds, the relationship, what do you see as this relationship between EE programs and the building performance standards? Like, where is that opportunity? Because I see Gabriel, he's got his hand up. I'm sure he's going to talk about it. We're in the process of having a draft building performance standard report out. And so maybe it's a good opportunity to apply some lessons.
I think it was really interesting in the different papers that were submitted, this idea that energy efficiency programs can support the building performance standards, and the building performance standard can sort of act as this almost, I want to say, lighthouse, and sort of it allows you to sort of get everyone on the same track. So some really interesting concepts there. I think also the other thing that the paper recognizing is that it can feel daunting for folks that fall under this mandate to have to comply. And so the more that you can have these programs that provide support, and by support, whether it's incentives, whether it's technical assistance, whether it's just a shoulder to commiserate on, that really helps make these mandates more successful. So just some really interesting perspectives from other states that are starting their implementation journey.
Thank you so much, Amaury. And Gabriel, I see that you dropped the link to the 2026 ACEEE Summer Study. Thank you so much. That way we can all access it. We'll make sure that goes into the follow-up materials to this meeting too. And I see your hand raised. Nice to see you.
Thanks so much, Angie. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in with my experiences. Specifically, my colleague and I, Joanna Saunders, co-authored a paper that we submitted and it was accepted, so we got to present at ACEEE. And I wanted to encourage everyone here to consider submitting a paper of their own. It ended up being there's a 16-page limit, including references. We ended up having like 2 pages of references. So it's only like a 14-page paper. We put in an abstract in early January this year, and we had about 5 months to put together this paper based on our knowledge on the topic. It's peer reviewed, so we got to go back and forth with some very very active reviewers, and the paper that ultimately was accepted was I think was a lot better than what we started with. Just a really neat opportunity to explore the materials. So I know everybody on the call has their own area of expertise, and there's just a lot of good knowledge here. So maybe 2 years from now, people will consider putting in their own abstract.
Thank you. Any major takeaways from your experience? Like, what are you taking home to apply to your work at the California Energy Commission?
You're correct that I'm focused on building performance standards right now. Incredible work going on around the country. New York City, in particular, was just the amount of work they're doing. They have a 94 to 96% compliance rate with their first cycle. They have over almost 100 staff involved. They have just incredible engagement with their community. The buildings in New York City, this is under Local Law 97, which is their building performance standard. And they have, I think, 3 other laws that handle benchmarking and commissioning and some other details there. So they're just extremely active engagement with their community and making some good progress, learning a lot of lessons. The director of their department was at ACEEE, as well as the lead staff from a number of other states, Colorado, Washington State, many others. And so we just had a ton of really interesting conversation about their experiences with BPS and where we're going from here. So some really, really incredible opportunities. Also, if you get to go to ACEEE, I strongly recommend staying on site. The meals there in the historic building, in the historic dining hall, are some of the best conversations you'll have, just sitting with people that from around the country on topics that are related that you saw in a session or that you met outside, and then getting a chance to chat for a while about things. Just so many incredible conversations. It's a marathon. 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., 10 p.m. for all week. It's pretty incredible.
Well, thanks, Gabriel. Super nice to get some insights, both from local perspective, regional, and state. So I like that pep talk. I think that SEEK could do a better job making sure you guys are aware of session proposals for ACEEE Summer Study next time. And it sounds like, Kels, we should take this resource of all the concept papers and put it into our resource clearinghouse too, so folks can access it. Lots of good knowledge, which we love around here at SEEK. Okay. Well, folks, there's also some chat happening here that might be worthwhile. There's other folks sharing their papers, so thanks for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into our next featured speaker, but just one more round. Actually, everybody give some emojis to Amaury and Emily and Gabe, who was an unexpected featured speaker. Yeah, thanks, guys. Okay. So our last featured item, this one's going to be our longer one, is going to be a nice presentation we're going to get from friends at UC Davis. So Emily Searl is a graduate student research for the Western Cooling Efficiency Center, and they have been working with Empower Procurement on a product evaluation hub. They wanted to make sure that we get this out in front of local governments, including their energy facilities folks or purchasing folks, an opportunity to get some good, useful information on energy-related products. So Emily, thanks for being here. I'll pass it off to you. And as usual, everybody just put your questions in the chat.
Thank you so much, Angie. I appreciate it. And excited to share with you all that I actually graduated a couple months ago. So officially a postdoctoral researcher at the Western Cooling Efficiency Center at UC Davis. And so just to give a little bit of background about myself and what I'm going to be speaking about today, I work at UC Davis at the Western Cooling Efficiency Center, which is a lab and field testing research institute that was founded in 2007, and that supports the development and deployment of advanced energy solutions. I specifically work on the Market Transformation Research Program team at the WCEC, and our team does a lot of research kind of at the nexus of technology, people, and policy. So actually a lot of the topics that were being discussed earlier in the meeting around non-energy benefits, all of that is kind of our bread and butter on my team. So excited to hear all of the excitement around those topics. But today I'm actually here to talk about another project that my team has been working on in collaboration with many others, called the Empower Procurement Product Evaluation Hub, or Hub for short, which is a buyer's guide website for energy products for commercial buildings. And so before I get into the details, I want to just point out the QR code on the slide and the link to the website, energyproductevaluations.org, and encourage you all to scan the QR code, check out the website either now or open it up and save it to look at for later. And this is the project that I'll be speaking about today. So this website is the culmination of a years-long grant with the California Energy Commission to compile information about commercial energy products into a easy-to-use website format. And so kind of the original purpose or impetus for this project was hearing from stakeholders across many different sectors of commercial buildings, including government and public buildings, that finding information about commercial energy products can be difficult to find, or you can only find information that's provided by manufacturers, and that it's often difficult to compare products across manufacturers when you're trying to decide what energy products to install or purchase for commercial buildings. And so the goal of this project was to make it easier for decision makers to find information about commercial energy products and to make those informed decisions. Also with the goal of providing some more transparent information about energy products that are particularly energy efficient, to make those decisions to move towards energy efficient products a little less intimidating given the information that's provided on this website. And so what we did is create a consumer report style resource that allows users of the website to both locate products and also to compare individual products in kind of an apples to apples comparison. And so the current stage of the project, all of the work for the project is actually completed, and we are now in the final stage of just doing outreach and dissemination of the website to try and get it in the hands of folks who can benefit from using it. And that includes decision makers for energy products in government buildings and public buildings, as well as a wide variety of other stakeholders in commercial buildings in California. And so I want to go over a little bit of what's included on this slide here, just to give you a sense of what information is available on the website. So the website features 18 different categories of energy products, and there are 118 individual products featured on the website. And so you can see from our list here that the products really range from heating, cooling, ventilation, lighting, plug loads, building envelopes. And so hopefully there are some products on this list that seem relevant for a wide variety of buildings, but also specifically for government and public buildings. And so the critical value provided by this website is the product testing that was conducted by our partners in this project. And so you can see at the bottom of the slide the technologies evaluated by, and then kind of our long list of logos of all of our partners in this work who helped to conduct the product performance testing for the products that are featured on the website. And so the results of the testing that they conducted are compiled on the website in a way that allows for users to compare products directly to each other across manufacturers. And the testing that was done for these products was done by either using established testing protocols when those already existed, or for technologies where established protocols did not yet exist, we collaborated with technology experts to develop new testing standards and protocols. And so the ability to directly compare products that have been tested in the same ways, we hope and think really helps provide some transparency about what these products can actually do in a building setting. And so also available on the website are all of the technical specifications for all of the products. You can filter products by key features based on the technical specifications. You can also directly compare products by technical specification. So on the website, if you already know what you're looking for and you want to directly compare a couple of products, when you use our comparison tool, it will pull up all of the technical specifications and performance data for those products. So you can do a pretty straightforward apples to apples comparison. Now, for folks who might not be at the stage of wanting to kind of do a deep dive on specific individual products, we've also tried to provide information on the website for those that are looking to get kind of an introduction to some of these technologies, some more high-level information. And so each technology category listed here has an overview page that includes some introductory information about the technology. Each category also has an application guidance page where we try to give some very high-level information about where and when it may be appropriate to install different technologies. Now, to be clear, this is not the type of tool where you plug in like your building's parameters and then the website spits out which technologies you should install. It's a very general overview for folks who might not be familiar with a heat pump water heater about where and when you might consider installing that technology. We also provide some energy and cost impact information for each technology category as well to give a little bit of insight about the energy and costs associated with the different technologies in different regions of California, and also in some cases by different building types. Again, at kind of a generic high level, just to give some initial information to those who are kind of exploring these technologies potentially for the first time. For those who are kind of in the deep dive stage of making decisions about individual products, we also provide all of the data available on the website to download for free. So if you are interested in downloading the technical specifications or the performance evaluation data that is on the website, all of that is available to download in Excel spreadsheets. And you could, do whatever kind of specific analysis you want, use it for product purchase justification information, or whatever is useful for you. For transparency, we have also made all of the testing procedures used for the performance testing available on the website as well, just to provide some extra information about how the performance data came about, what was actually done in the lab settings to test these products out. And so you can see on the slide here that we collaborated with quite a few partners over the years. This is an almost 10-year-long project now, but over the years we did check in with stakeholders throughout the process to continue updating the categories that are included on the website. And so while the initial list of categories was informed by what stakeholders were telling us at the time were the products that they were searching for information for, we have continued to check in with stakeholders throughout the entire project to try and continue adding new technology categories to the website and try and keep it up to date with the products that people are looking for new information about. And so now we are really hoping that this website ends up in the hands of folks who can use it. This website is available for free. There are no ads, subscriptions, logins, or any endorsements of any particular brand or manufacturer. The purpose is just to simplify the decision-making process for commercial energy products and to try and make it a little bit easier for decision makers to choose more energy efficient products in their buildings when possible. Ultimately, we hope that the website will save people time when they are doing that initial research to find products or doing research about which products to ultimately choose. And we've tried to provide information on the website that can help kind of meet requirements for justifying purchases for commercial energy products. At this point, we are actively looking for any opportunities to share this resource with anyone who might find it useful. We are interested in doing additional presentations to anyone who might find it useful or providing written materials so that it can get into the hands of people who can actually use it rather than, just existing on the internet and no one really knowing it's there or making good use of it. So we are always welcoming any suggestions on places to present next. If you have any suggestions for that, please do reach out to me with that information. I'm also happy to take any questions or comments about the website as well. And we hope that this will be a useful resource for you or your colleagues, or potentially something that a group that you regularly work with may be interested in learning more about. And we'd be happy to work and present with them as well. At this point, I want to just suggest again, go ahead and scan the QR code, and I'll put the link to the website in here as well.
Does anyone have any questions for Emily? Doesn't look like just yet. Emily, do you want to show us a little demo of the website since we have a little bit of time
Yeah,
here?
sure.
If you want, you can share your screen. I'll stop sharing.
Yes. Okay, I was gonna say, click the right screen here. Okay. So this is the homepage of the website. And you can see here, if you hover over the products, then you can choose whatever technology category you're interested in exploring. For our purposes, we'll just take a quick look at advanced thermostats. And so this is what the landing page looks like for all of the technology categories. And if you want to get to that kind of high level information that I was telling you about, all of the links to that are right at the top of each page, so we can take a quick look at that. So we have first, I don't want to make anyone dizzy scrolling, but we have a technology overview here of advanced thermostats. And then you can continue to click down here to kind of view the different high-level overview information we have, the application guidance information, and then the energy and cost impact information. The energy and cost impact information varies quite a bit by technology category, depending on how specific we can be when giving that sort of generic high-level overview. And then you can see along the side here where you can filter the product based on different key features. So this is kind of getting into more of the user of the website who already knows what they're looking for and wants to filter specifically for different things. And we can just do kind of a quick example. You can see if you click on an individual product, it pulls up a couple of highlights about it. And then if you continue to click down, you can see the technical specifications and the performance evaluation data. And then in some cases, depending on the technology and whether we were able to collect it or not, there is also some user experience data available. And the way to download all of the data that I was mentioning is just at the bottom of each screen. And the test procedures are here to download as well. So I think we have time to just do like a quick view of the comparison tool. So it's meant to be,
we also
sure.
have a question in the chat about what the frequency for updates in the future as new products become available is.
Yeah. So our role in the project is at this point just doing the outreach and dissemination of the website as it currently exists. And we are actually working with a group on the project, Future Enterprises, to figure out what the possibilities are for continuing to update the website in the future. And so that's part of why we're interested in getting people to engage with the website, send us their questions and their comments about it, so that they can have as much information as they can get about how to figure out how to continue to update the website in the future. As of now, there are no plans to update it under the current grant, but that is being looked into. And yes, this is primarily targeted to commercial buildings. There are some products on the website that could be feasibly installed in, multifamily or residential buildings. The advanced thermostats is an example of that. But overall, the original grant and purpose of the website was aimed at commercial buildings. And I think that is about my time, so I can stop.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
So we moved through things pretty quickly here today. If there's anything that's been brought up in the chat that anybody would like to ask in person to either Emily or our ACEEE team as well, feel free to do so. I think there's some interest, Jody, in hearing about your experience with the PG&E gas line removal, if you're interested.
Wow. Well, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Jody London. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator with Contra Costa County. And PG&E, maybe 2 years ago, I don't really know because they didn't include me, but they got authorization from the PUC, from the Public Utilities Commission, to pilot a program called Electrify My Block. And a number of communities in Contra Costa County, some mostly within our cities, but maybe some in our unincorporated areas, which is where my group tends to focus, were identified as communities where they could potentially, instead of replacing gas lines, they could just tear it out altogether. And PG&E would give each property owner $35,000 to convert their home to run entirely on electricity. And we only heard about it because a member of our Sustainability Commission, one of our county residents, was bugging us about, hey, what are you guys doing about Electrify My Block? What are you doing about Electrify My Block? And we pursued it, and we finally found someone who we thought could help us. And long story short, PG&E, and in all fairness to them, they had never done anything like this before. I saw someone from PG&E on Friday who works with this program, so I want to make sure I'm fair. They have never done anything like this. But what was striking to me is that they didn't think about contacting the local government to be a partner with them. And those of you on this call who work for local government, while people may not always like us, I think they're more distrustful of PG&E. And so PG&E was just like sending out letters, having people maybe knock on doors, but no one was getting anywhere. And so we got very pushy, and the county supervisor who represents the area where they were trying to do most of this work, he got involved, and supposedly they're sending out a letter that names both the county and PG&E with both of our logos on it. We wanted it to go in our envelope because we think people are more likely to open a letter from their government entity because it might be about their taxes. But anyway, you can see where I'm going. It just like the utility, in the same way that we have a lot of learning to do when we're working with community groups, I think the utilities, I can only speak for PG&E. I can't speak for the ones in Southern California. They have a lot of learning to do, I think, and we can hopefully help them about co-designing these programs with us, right? And we think this program is a huge opportunity for our communities, many of which are in the shadow of power plants and refineries. We would love to see this program happen successfully. And we have to just kind of be patient with PG&E and try to work with them. As some of you know, I can be sometimes a little bit emphatic in my delivery, so I'm trying to dial it back a little bit and be a little nicer. Amaury's laughing. I love seeing his face because he's laughing as I describe all this, but that has been our experience. I don't know if any of the Contra Costa jurisdictions that are eligible are on this call. I don't think so, but it was really it's been really informative, and we're hopeful that we can maybe do something different. I will just give a plug to the event I was at on Friday, where I met in person the contact at PG&E. It was a tour in the Mission District of San Francisco, hosted by the Building Power Resource Center, which is a group that's been very focused on the SB 1221 gas line removal proceeding. And we were touring two buildings in the Mission District. One was a multi-unit building, probably a 6-unit building, where they had completely removed gas, including pulling the line out of the ground. And, and then the other one was the Women's Building, which is kind of like a community center. And it's actually now a climate resilience center. And it was hosted, as I said, by the Building Performance, blah, 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 BPRC and PODER. And Emerald Cities was involved. It was a very interesting collaborative. If you ever get an invitation to go on a tour with them, you should. The folks from Emerald Cities and PODER ended up being like energy navigators for these projects, and they really had many hurdles to overcome. So it was a very fascinating opportunity. And I'll stop there. Sorry, maybe I've gone on too long, but.
So, Amaury, I see you have your hand up, but is that the same program that they were talking about at ACEEE?
Yeah, it was. And actually, Jody, one of the things that was just fascinating about what they were mentioning is they were saying that they were holding off on doing the projects until everyone in a block had agreed. And it sounded like a really cumbersome way, in some way, of saying, well, someone might have agreed a year ago that they want to participate, but if their neighbors don't agree, then they don't move forward. And so it was definitely interesting sort of seeing at least what we might be getting into with SB 1221, and if similar models and approaches are replicated.
They're going to have hesitancy, I think, around SB 1221, because what they're going to do, like, they're identifying the neighborhoods where they know on your block in Pacific Grove or wherever you live, they are not going to replace the gas line. They're going to tear it out. And with SB 1221, they only need 2/3 of the residents to agree. But I think they're potentially worried about someone who didn't want that to happen, who likes cooking with gas, who's going to somehow raise a ruckus. And so I don't know how we solve for that, except that we need a massive education campaign about the health benefits and hopefully the cost benefits of weaning yourself off of fossil fuel.
And from my perspective, I wish we all talked more about these types of pilot programs, because there are some learnings on the ground of what to do and what not to do. And it seems like at times we're almost staying in our little silos and not talking enough about, here's what we did and it sort of didn't work at all, and you should not do that in your communities. Or here's what we did and actually it worked great and we think it's a great model.
Mm-hmm. Who's done a lot of work on this is the city of Albany. I've been on panels, and I think it's Michelle. I'm not remembering her name in this moment, but they've made. Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. She's made some good progress, but it's very slow going, and it's also frustrating. Like, the CPUC has published its maps of where eligible neighborhoods for SB 1221. It's all over the place, but like, you're kind of in a race against PG&E coming in and saying, okay, well, now it's time for your neighborhood. And in doing it. So I think we need to find as many pilots as we can around the state, unincorporated areas, cities, inland, coastal, high desert, the far north, whatever it is, and just do tiny chunks. Like I live on a cul-de-sac with 8 or 10 buildings. We would have been perfect, except they replaced our gas lines just as I was removing most of my gas appliances. But anyway, do you see what I'm saying? That's just a thought. But I think we do need more conversation. And I just want to say, because I like to talk like a human. Notice how I talk about gas line removal. I do not call this decarbonization. I do not call this zonal decarbonization. I just say they're going to remove the gas line from your neighborhood.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Amaury. Since we have a couple more minutes and we can kind of move into our more informal time, if there is anything that anybody wanted to bring up or any questions that they had for the group, generally with our last couple minutes. If not, we can head out a little early. Okay, I don't see anything. We will be here again next month. We'll be sending out information about who's coming in September. We look forward to seeing you there. And thank you all for joining us. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.